Right, morning everyone. After the woes of Facebook, I have got, I don't know where to start. I have got the pleasure of playing with, today. So I'm going to play with the Blooming Bluebell. Well, in my head I am, but what ends up happening we don't know. Build Me Up Buttercup, the Crazy Daisy, and Count Your Blossoms. We've got those dies we're going to have a play with. We've got lots of the Get Crackled enamel. I've got, in a basket sitting here, lots of the sprays. I've got stencils galore that we're going to have a play with. And I have also got the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stamps. So we've got Fierce and Free, You Grow Girl. We've got, as you can see, I've got some of them ready to go. We've got Pursue Dreams. What's this one here? If I get them wrong, Taylor. Bloom Baby Bloom. So we're going to play with stamps as well. So we're going to have a bit of fun mixing everything up. So I'm just trying to find space to put things. Oh, yeah, sorry. Jane, if you could, that would be brilliant. I'm out shopping. Mum's on the phone. Yeah, I know Mum's on the phone. Right, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to do a mixture of absolutely everything. And I've die cut lots of things in advance. So what I want to do is make up my backgrounds first. And then I want to then put all the different projects together. So for me die cutting, if I explain, even when I worked for other die cutting companies, Tonic, I always die cut in white. I can't say why, but I do. I always die cut. Morning, Charmaine. And I think it's when you've got different projects on the go, I die cut in white because I can then change everything to suit the colour of the project I want to work on. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to make a start, and I just want to make some quick backgrounds. And I want to just grab a blending tool and a blending, not that one. I thought I got these out, but I didn't. Oh, there's one. Oh, two. And we've got a blending. Okay. Now, I'm just going to get some towel out just to put underneath. The only reason I'm doing it is normally it doesn't bother me with sprays. It'll go everywhere. But unfortunately, I decided to move my desk around a little bit. And I now have a wall here, which I don't think should really be sprayed just yet. So I'm going to just start doing some really nice, quick backgrounds. And we're going to have a little bit of a play and make a few different sort of cards up. I hope I've got as many lights on as I physically can. So I'm hoping that you can see what's happening. Let's move those. So I can't remember the name of this stencil. I'm sorry, Lynette, I'm being a bit dense, aren't I? But this one comes with a mask, or it comes as the stencil by itself. And I'm going to use the stencil by itself. And I'm going to use some of the sprays. And I'm going to use Coastal Waters to start with. And I just want to make a really, really, really quick background. So I'm going to just spray through. And I'm not looking for anything too precise, and I'm working on a long piece of card. Dolly Dimples, Charmaine and Robbie are really kind to me, and what it was I've got a real thing for 7x5 cards at the moment, so they cut me lots of strips out which are perfect for 7x5, and I just went, oh, thank you. Right, so that's just one background that I want to leave there, and I just want to leave it as simple as that. So I'm just going to put this down to dry behind me, and I want to grab another piece of card. And what I want to do is I just want to do exactly the same again with the same. And we're just going to put that like that. And now this time I just want to add just a tiny bit of the Blush Streams. Morning, Jan. I thought it was Posy, but I wasn't sure. Oh, Sarah Lou, that's lovely. Thank you. Right, so I'm just going to add just a little bit. So I've just added the blue on, and I just want to add a tiny little bit of the pink. Okay, and we're going to do it that way. And then what I want to do is I'm just going to very, very carefully, well, not really carefully, I want to fold this over a little bit because I want to clean the stencil, but I want to have two different types of backgrounds going at the same time. Now you could run this through your die cutting machine and you get a really beautiful embossed effect. And, you know, if I kept my die cutting embossing mat out, that would be a good idea, but I haven't. But let's see, where's my brayer? So all I want to do is I just want to clean a little bit of the ink. So let's put you back there. So now I've got two backgrounds going in totally different ways for two different projects. So I've got like the positive and the negative, which become two different card panels. Just going to put this somewhere so it dries. Where's my water? There it is. Okay. So I'm just grabbing backgrounds. So I'm just going to put that one to dry as well, because what I want to do is I want to create quick, easy backgrounds that I can then die cut into and make it's posy. Thank you, Taylor. So I've got now that really, really quickly, and we can do it that way. So we can do it, put that there, and I'm just drying backgrounds behind me. Now, one of the things everybody always says, I know we're on Pretty Gets Gritty, but about backgrounds is, I don't like sprays. Sprays aren't uncontrollable, blah, 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 blah. But sprays are so much more. With a spray, you can do so many things. You can obviously spray and make backgrounds. You can watercolour. You know, don't be put off by a spray. You know, embrace the spray, as it were. They're a quick way to start a project. But, hi Noreen. But another way to use a spray is I'm going to take the nozzle off. Now, rather than waste the ink in there, I'm just going to grab one of my backgrounds back. Actually, let's grab the blue, because I want to use the spray differently. And I'm just going to, might as well just put this on the top rather than just waste the ink on the side there. So we might as well just do that. So I can use the nozzle like this. I could put a paintbrush into my spray and use it as painting. The only thing I would say is do not then put it into a water pot and then keep using the same paintbrush in a water pot, because obviously then you're going to dilute the concentration of your spray, which is not good. But the other thing you can do with sprays is I can actually take a blending tool and I'm just going to put the spray onto a blending sponge. And we'll put that back in there. And I can then use it through a stencil. So if you want a little bit more control and you don't want the randomness of the spray, but you want the colours, and obviously the Pretty Gets Gritty has a beautiful like mica undertone, I can now go through and do my stencil. I can make this, spritz this again with a little bit of water and it makes it lighter, or I can put another little bit on there. And you can build your spray, you can use them to build your background. So sprays have such a wonderful concentration of colour that sometimes it's really, really sad not to use our sprays in different ways that we prefer. Now I've made this far too wet, so you can see you can't really see the stencil. But actually, do you know what? I quite like that. I'm going to rub the ink off now. So I can use the blending tool just to rub all the excess ink off and clean my stencil, which means now I'm going to get a really, really, really light effect. So you can create with your sprays, still with the stencils, in lots of different ways. Make it really wet and you get the lovely mottled look like you would get with a spray, a little bit looser, or just go across the top of your actual stencils. So we got some of those backgrounds going. So let's just put that back there. So, you know, think of different ways that you can use them. Right, hold on, let's put you back. A newspaper on the floor. Okay, so I'm going to just clean my stencil up. There we go, that'll do. Oh, we're not going to waste that bit of ink as well. Now, like I said, I'm just making my backgrounds to have a go at different things. Now, what I have done is I have die cut the wonderful gritty pipes, and I want to do a 3D project with those, but not like a canvas. Morning, Mum. But not like a canvas. I want to create a card with them as such. And I'm going to have a look. Sorry, I'm just trying to see which ones I want to. I've got so many different sprays that you just go, oh. Let's go for those two for a moment. Right, so I am going to spray the background. As I said, if spraying doesn't work for you, if I do one way, and then what we'll do is we'll do one on a sponge. So the sprays have got a beautiful mica within them. So, and that will shine through as it dries. So I want to actually just do a little bit, and this is the frosted latte. And I want to just add a little bit of the frosted latte, and I want to then add some of the willow green. And so what's everybody's plans today? We're off to meet the mother-in-law for lunch. So that will be nice. And I just then want to add just a little bit of the Ice Sunshine. Lynette, I do hope, yeah, you did have a good birthday. You got out. I really wanted to send Lynette 50 birthday, 50 balloons, just to wind her up at that age, but I was braver and didn't. Right, so that is going to be my die cut, and I'm going to put this down now to dry, because I want it to dry naturally, so we see all the different colours of the mica that are built in the sprays afterwards. So let's just put that down on the floor. And I'm just, yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to get another one now, and if I change my blending tool, I might put the pink back on, you never know. And I'm going to, so if you didn't want to do the sprayed look, let's just do it. I'm just going to put some of the, I've shaken the bottle up, so hopefully we'll get a little bit of the mica. I can go on the top, and I can get a totally different look by using a blending sponge than I can if I use it as a spray. If I actually put some of the product on, would be a good idea, wouldn't it? So we're going to just build up the colour. Oh, look at that there. Sorry. I'm not going to waste it on that tissue. Look at that. So, and I'm going to create. So now it creates a subtler, lighter look. Now I've used a foam, I think, because I couldn't find my felt ones. If you've got the felt ones that are like you would use with your alcohol inks, that would be better, because the colour will sink in, but it will also stay on the top. Right, let's just do a little bit of that. Let's not waste that. And I want to add a little bit of the green. Oh, you're gardening, Mum. Oh, crafting projects. Oh, don't. I've got so many different things. Mine is video editing. I just haven't had the time to add some video edits. So now I'm just going over with the willow green. Okay, let's put that there. And put that there. And this time, rather than use the yellow, so I'm being really good and tidying up as I go along, I want to grab the, where are you? The Misty Morning. Because each one that had such a different depth of colour. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of the Misty Morning rather than the yellow as I did before. And I can build up the colours. Now, doing it with a sponge means I'm being probably a little bit more precise, but I'm going to hopefully get all the mica come through. Right, so we've got those done. Let's put that to one side to dry. Okay. Put you in there. Oh, right, so, okay, I'm just going to tidy this up. Now, these sheets here, don't get rid of those sheets. Let them dry naturally. If you then put clear embossing ink on top and clear embossing powder, these suddenly go totally, your sheets, if this dries enough, I'll show you. This sheet now becomes slightly translucent and thicker, and it makes such a superb background that you can even die cut into. Okay. Right, let's just put that down there. And I want to then make a start on, go back to some of my other backgrounds. Right, let's just wipe that up. Look at me being nice and tidy. Doesn't often happen, I must admit. Right, if I go back to... So this is one of the backgrounds I've got here. I'm just going to quickly dry it off. And I want to then bring in a little bit of the stamping. So, and what I want to do is I want to create a 7x5 card, but one of the sides is actually going to be my card base, and one of them is going to be what I die cut into, if that makes sense. So we've got that there. Right, so I'm just going to cut this down quickly, and then I can then cut it to fit a card base. So here we go. And where's my tissue gone? Do you know, I just had it here. Now, when I've heat embossed, it just adds condensation to your glass mat. So if you pick your pieces up, it's a little bit better and stops that. Right, okay, so we've got this here. So one I'm going to die cut into, and one I'm going to create my card base on. And I want to use, oh, which one shall we use? Let's have a look. You know, when someone gives you too many options for stamps, and you go, which one shall we use? I think I'm going to use, right, I'm going to go Strongest Roots. And that's this beautiful little set of stamps. And don't ever think, you know, that stamps, don't judge a small stamp and think it's not going to give you what you actually want it to, because it will. And I'm going to use my Distress inks. I'm going to go Salty Ocean to start with. And I want to use one of the smaller background stamps. And I'm looking for, let's have a think. Let's go for that one. Hi Sam, just seen you there. You're always nice and tight. Ish, Lynette. Right, sorry, I was just taking a slurp of coffee. And I'm using Salty Ocean because I want to bring in the stamps, but I just want them to be quite subtle in the background. And to build up on top of the colours that we've created already. And we're going to, I'm just making a quick random background. And I think sometimes we think mixed media has to be, you know, dark. I'm not very good at, I did Lynette's workshop when she did the as she calls them, the timepieces at Christmas. And one of the things I'm not very good at is dry brushing. I either put too little on that nothing shows at all, or I put too much on and it's like I've regessoed it. And so I shy away from slightly darker projects because of that. And I'll go slightly brighter. Right, so I'm just want to do a few little bits of the background in here. And I'm just sticking to the one stamp. There's loads of stamps on the stamp set that, you know, that I could use. But let's have a think. I just want to put a little bit there. And we'll just put a little bit there. And I just want to pick up a bit of the ink there. Okay. Oh, that's a bit organised. Tone on tone. Tone on tone, I don't think sometimes we do enough of as well, Taylor, I agree. I think we're so determined to make things stand out that sometimes we forget that tone on tone looks beautiful. And all I want to do now is I'm just drying off, I don't want too much water. And I'm just going to pick out, with a little bit of the Distress ink, the colours on top. Okay. So And I'm not going to be overly precious with my watercolouring. Now the ink is still reactive. I just want some of them to be slightly darker, and I want some of them to be a little bit more watery. So I can see the background from the Posy stencil and the spraying in some places, but I can then also see the detail of the stamped flower in others. So we've got that going on. And let's do the leaves while I'm here. Okay, if you're using your brush and you want to get, normally we put the colour, we'll put the whole brush in the colour. If you want to do a bit more precise detail, if you hold your brush straight upright, perpendicular to your board, and then just put your nib or the tip of your paintbrush just through whatever colour medium, it means the colour medium is now on the tip, which means you have then the burst of colour just on the tip. It's not diluted out, and you can then be a little bit more precise with your colour placement. So as you can see there, mine is just on the tip, and I can just now go into all the leaves. Right, but this time around I'm just going to, I want the whole of the brush because I want it a little bit lighter. Let's move my work around. Okay, so this flower, so some of them are going to be lighter, as I said, and some of them are going to be darker. Okay. Sorry if I go quiet while I'm colouring. You know, colouring doesn't have to take long if you don't want it to. And you can create projects with, you know, just going for a blue, a yellow, pinks in your different mediums as such. Right, so we've got this here. Okay, so that's going to be my background on that one. Oh, no, sorry, I just noticed the leaves. Just want to do the leaves. Okay, so that is now going to be my background. If I lift it up, you could possibly see. So I've got the shimmer of the mica coming through, but then I've got the subtle tone-on-tone stamping as well coming through using the flowers. So we've got that going there. So I'm just going to clean my brush. And there we go. And what I want to do is, so that's going to dry. And what I want to do then on this one is I want to do something similar, but I want to pick another stamp. So I'm going to go for the one that looks a bit like a hydrangea, for want of a better expression. And I'm going to stick to the same colours, but this time I've chosen a stamp that doesn't need any colouring per se. And I just want to create a quick background with this. Now this one I'm not going to worry about whether it's precise, if I've inked the stamp up, because actually I just want the colour to act as a bit of a highlight, and you'll see why in a moment. We've got that one there. And we'll have that one there. Let's do one at the top here. Okay, I've got that. So I've got that going there. Where's my cloth gone? Here it is on my shoulder. Thank you, Melanie. Right, so we've got those two going there. This still a little bit wet, so we'll just leave that. So now what I just want to do is I want to grab some of my dies, and I'm going to go for, do you know, this is so hard. Right, I love these sort of dies. They're open, they're clear, they allow you to do mixed media project. I'm going to do something with the glazes in the middle in a moment, but they can just take you into so many different directions. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm going to go, oh, because we've got the blues. Let's have a think. Right, I'm going to go for the Bluebell. I don't want the big one just yet. I do want the smaller ones. And in this set, you get 4 smaller dies. So let's just move you out of the way and file you on my background. Let's get some tape. Look at me being tight with my tape. This was when I was doing a project with Adam. And he went a little bit OTT with the amount of tape he needed. Bless him. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to die cut these out. And I'm picking different areas of colour that I want to use. I'm going to use all the sizes. I'm just going to put the tape down just to hold it in place. And we'll run that through. Sorry about the noise of the die cutting machine. And do that. Oh, Taylor, I mean, I won't show you. My dies are really, really organised as well. I don't know why, but they are. Okay, so I've got these now. I'm just going to put them there. And I'm not sure how many I'm going to use, but we'll see. Oh, I didn't push that one through further enough. That's all right. I'll put that, run that back through. My plate is dipping down on my machine, and that's why. Right, let's just push these out. Okay, let's just... Also, I'm using a machine I haven't used for absolutely ages. Okay, so we've got that one there. I want to do a little bit here, a little bit there. And I'll keep all these little backgrounds. Do a bit of the blue. And let's go there. So let's put my pokey tool down would be a good idea. I'm just going to stick the tape across. The noise you can hear is my dog trying to get into the room because he thinks he's missing out. Right, so I've got some die cuts there, so while that's going through, I'll just poke these bits out. So, okay. I'm using a 300 GSM card, so it's going a little bit tougher. Right, so we've got those. I'm just putting them all here beside me so I don't lose them. And then we've got these ones now. I'm going to keep that piece of backing paper and let's file you there. Okay, because what I want to do is I want to just do something cream as well. I'm putting the rubbish straight away in my bin. Now, I've done, for my next demo, I have done a lot of the die cutting, but I just wanted to show you a quick way, she says. Fingers crossed. Right, let's get that one there. And possibly my card is still a little damp, and die cutting when your card is damp is not the best thing in the world to do. Of course you do. Oh, I have to, I do organise my stuff in lots of different ways. It's because I like to say which company's stuff I've used if I've made a project. And it's easier if it's organised into that company. But that's just me, I know. Right, so where's my card gone? Here we are. And what I want to do is I just want to use the same dies, and I just want to cut some from cream. Okay, I'll just use the same bit of tape. All the tape's doing is, yes, it's holding the dies down, but it's because I'm using 4 on a plate. It just stops them moving around and crossing over. So, put that through. So while that's going through, let's make a quick card blank. So as I said, these Dolly Dimple strips now can create my 7x5 card blank, which I love. I can't find, I've lost my scoring board. I don't know where that is. Right, so what I want to do is create the panel on here for these cards. And then we'll build it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put that there and that there. Well, look at Lynette getting all bossy. All right, where's my... So I'm looking for my bin. Okay. So this is now going to be my card blank, which is going to sit on the top there. And then I've got my die cuts here. So I'm just going to leave them there for the moment. And I just want to build up the next part of the card. So I'm going to stick to the same stamp set because we've got some really cool sayings on here. Dreams don't have expiration dates. The smallest flower can have the strongest roots. We've got some pursue happiness, others create it. And that's the one I'm going to go for. Because I think as creative people, when we share our projects, that's exactly what we're doing. And I think whatever your ability, don't be scared to share. We all have a different place to start, don't we? Right, I'm going to grab that there. And I'm going to carry on using distress. But I want this one to be straight. One of the benefits of clear stamps is I can actually curve this if I wanted it to go round something. So when you think of your sentiments, they're brilliant for that. And I'm just using a distress ink, and I'm not going OTT. I don't not necessarily want the sentiment to stand out. I just want it to be a little bit in the background in different places. Okay. So there we go. Let's do a bit there. And all this is just like a subtle nod. If I'd have thought about it, actually, the pumice stone probably would have been better colour, but never mind. Okay, so we've got that there. And that's just what I want to do for my background for the moment. Right, I'm going to be good and put stamps away so I don't lose them. Now, with the dies, let's get all these out now. Let's put you there. And I've got the other ones here. I'm just going to poke them all out. The bundle has... Whoa! Lynette, I didn't realise that. Whoa. That is superb. Right, so I'm just taking out the bits from the dies. See, as I said, these, if I put them on the plain card, you can see the background. Such beautiful open spaces. And if I put a cream one next to it, always keep a background you don't like, because it's amazing, especially when you have beautiful open dies like this, that if I didn't like that background, now seeing it die cut, it suddenly takes on something totally different and it looks different. So if I put them, so just by cutting the difference in the same die cut from cream to using it with a subtle colour that you've created to coordinate with your project, just looks so different altogether. So we've got that one there, and then let's go for this one. Sorry if you can hear, the neighbours are all out massively cutting their grass. Let's put you there. And I want this one. To go across. Lynette, how many projects do you want me to make? Because I've prepped loads. Well, I didn't know which way to go, so I've done a few. Right, let's just do... And taking there. Now, if I'm being honest, die cutting your... on wet card isn't the best, because obviously the fibres of the card haven't had chance to dry. Do you know what? We'll go with it. Let's go there. I'm going to keep that piece in because that will actually look quite cool. If pieces don't cut away, keep it in and just call it a freebie paper piecing. That's what I do. Nobody knows any different. So let's take this one out. I've got that one there. Just going to poke all these bits out of the dies. Right, I'm just going to put the dies back before I lose them. And what did I do with my die cutting packet? Oh, it's over here. Right, just get rid of this rubbish. Okay, so we've got those there. And I've got these other ones here I want to bring in that we die cut earlier. So I'm just getting rid of rubbish that I don't want as well. And I've got that one there. Okay. So let's just start making the card up a bit. Now what I want to do is I want to have some of the die cuts so I've got a shadow, and some of them so they're actually flat, for want of a better expression. And I'm going to grab some glue. You need to get at least 4 in, Lou. I'm just going to put glue on my hand just for speed. If you don't like putting glue on your hand and you have spare foams like this, if you put the glue into the spare foam and just let it settle a bit, you can then actually use it as like a glue pad if you don't want to put it on the back of your hand. But for speed, I'm just going to put mine on the back of my hand. And what I want to do is I just want to use the cream on some of them to just be... So I'm layering it up, but it's also a slight shadow. But rather than go for a dark colour as a shadow, I want to use a light colour as a shadow. And we've got them there. And that one, and let's have a look. I'm missing it. Oh, there it is. Fussy Cutting Rage. Oh, see, I'm a bit like Taylor. I don't let it dry properly, and then everything either turns into a big mush or I don't like it. So now I've realised I've got to, if I'm going to do backgrounds and stuff like that, and I've got to let them dry, I've got to do them just before I start tidying up. Otherwise, my impatience kicks in. I'm with Taylor though, you know, you've got to have a... Yeah, my head's on to the next part of the project that I want to do. Right, so I've got those there. So they're going to create a really subtle shadow. And then I've got these two here. And I'm not going to use those. I'm just going to wipe my hands, sorry. Yeah, but then makes your hand look, Kay, that, you know, one part of your hand suddenly looks really young and fresh, and the other part still looks ugly and inky. And what I want to do now is I'm going to layer these up on top to create like a cascade. So some of them have got the double layer. I'll lift it up once I've got them stuck down, and you can see. And then some of them have got the single layer. So there'll be a little bit of contrast between the height and the depth, if that makes sense. So I'm just working out how I want to do it, because it's the Bluebell. I actually want to have it so it's coming down a little bit as a diagonal sort of ish, she says. So I'm just going to, and we'll stick those down. Okay. And we'll have, let's have a think, that one's going to go there. Ooh. I'm trying to use up old glue pots as well. I have so many different ones open that it's doing my head in now. It's because you get panicky when you go on Selly Telly that the glue or something won't open and stuff like that. So you end up taking new ones, or I do, with me near enough all the time. And then what happens is I end up with pots like with little bits left in that I never get around to using. Right, okay, so we've got that. Like that. Right, I'm just going to wipe my hand. Looks like you have a nasty burn. Yes, Sam, true. Right, so you can see then, if I lift it up, you can see some of them are raised, and where these ones are single, they're flat. So it creates a little bit of, I've got a little bit of dimension in the background straight away with the card, for little or no effort at all, she says. I just want to raise that up on 3D foam, but I just want to grab my foam and just eyeball roughly where I want this to be. There. Okay. I'm just going to put this on the back. Right, so we've got that there. So this is going to be the start of our card base. So that is going to go and sit on the top. So we now need to just do some other elements on it. So, oh Taylor, what my this is 3D foam. If you go on the Zon and you put in carpet fitters or floor fitters foam, they come on rolls like this, and you can double it up, you can keep it thin. I just find it easier than pads. I did buy a whole load of pads, and then I got all the wrong sizes. So I ended up with 5,500 of these little ones, which I'm determined to use up. Right, okay, so I want to do, so we've got that going there. Now I just want to grab a little piece of parchment in, and I want to use some of the other flowers now with it. And I'm going to go for the Fierce and Free. And I want to start on this bit of parchment. Where's the block? You know, I've got loads of blocks out. And I'm being so good tidying away, I'm putting the blocks back, which defeats the object of getting the blocks out. Okay. Let's grab an archival. Actually, no, let's grab a white for a change. And we'll do the black. I'll show you one I've done with the black. I treated myself to a new Hero Arts white. And what I want to do is I want to take the flower and I just want to put it down on the parchment. Again, I'm not looking for precision. This is going to be a background for one of the other main die cuts. So let's do it that way. So I'm just pressing down where I want bits of it. So where I've pressed is where the stamp is coming out. So if you don't like putting your stamps in your hand to do random, if you put your stamp down and just press the areas where you want the ink to be, that can give you the random look as well, as you can see there. Right, let's put that away. I don't want to make that one. That one's nice and clean for now. And I'm just going to clean my stamp. Because the Hero Arts one, it will act water reactive, but actually it's a pigment. So I just want to clean it up before I add another from there. So, and then I'm just going to grab some embossing powder. And I did have an envelope out somewhere. Ah, here it is. I just want to emboss. This is clear embossing. And I didn't really need to tip as much as that out, but hey. So I just clear those away. Right, so I've got that there, and let's just heat this up. I'll see if I can find the link, Sarah Lou. If I can find the link, I'll have to look on, you see, because I bought 3 rolls over 2 years ago, and I'm now on the last roll, so I'll see if I can go through the history and see if I can find it. I just liked it because I could cut the pieces to the size I wanted, but also I could have big pieces underneath the panel rather than lots of little pieces. I don't get on with the rolls of the tape, you know, like the standardised rolls, because you end up using so much of it to put on the back of the panel. Right, so I've got that going there. Let's just cool it down. And I just want to tear it. Put you over there. And what I want to do is I just want to have the panel subtly. I'll show you a version I did in black so you can see. And let's just put that there. This is when I work out if the tape is going to be long enough. Now, I don't know if I have a default. When I make a card or anything, I always seem to work to the left-hand side. And I think it's my comfort zone. So when I'm thinking of different projects, that's what I do. I'm just going to put a slight crease line down the actual parchment, and I just want to bring this bit in just a little bit, and it's going to just trap the top of it there. There we go. So now I've got this little bit of parchment that's just got the subtlety. If I lift it up, I'm hoping you can see. It's got, it's just got the little subtlety of just some random stamping on there. And then we've got the die cut still coming through. So we've got the little bit of depth and dimension on there. So let's just stick you to the card blank. Yeah, no, I'll see if I can find the link, but it's brilliant stuff. Right, sorry, I'm going to have to bring this to me so I can make sure it's straight, otherwise that will bug me. And I'll end up chopping it down and putting it onto a bigger card front if it's not 100% straight. Right, okay, so we've got that now going on the front. I just want to grab the Bloombell die, the main die, because what I'd like to do is have the main die now going on the front of the top of that. So, I did get a load of card out, did I? Okay, doesn't matter. See, in Selly Telly land, we have so many bits prepped up. It's really hard sometimes to see all the layers and the actual time it takes to make a project. Okay. Hi, Sasha. Right, okay, so we've got this beautiful bluebell now. Let's clear all those bits out. If I use my pokey tool, that would probably be a darn sight easier. Right. Okay, let's move that there. And then we've got the beautiful bluebell that is now going to sit on top of that white vellum layer like that. Now this is where you can make decisions that, do I cut it more than once? Do I cut it twice? And you can create, depends on the depth that you actually want from the die. I'm just going to put the die back in the packet. And in the die set as well, we get, you know, sentiments as well. I'm a devil for not choosing sentiments until I've lived with a project. And I know that sounds silly. I don't know if anybody else does the same. I very rarely make a project with a sentiment in mind. I just make the project, which I just find easier. Okay, so I'm just going to put this on the top. And this is such a beautiful, beautiful die. And this now is just going to sit on top of the vellum layer. And where it overhangs the vellum layer, I don't want it to stick to the card underneath. I just want it to stick to the vellum. So I've got a little bit of movement from those parts. I'm just going to clean my hands. Oh, there they are. Carpet fitters tape. You've all gone off to carpet fitters. Oh, Sharon, hold on. Let me just clean my hand and I'll be with you. How wide is it? It is approximately 6 inches wide. I mean, it was huge. And this one is called, oh, I don't know. What's it called? It doesn't really have a name on it. It just says Tessa, T-E-S-A. Right. Okay, I'm just cleaning my hands off of the blue. Just do that. Right, so let's just trim that little bit off there. And that's going to be the finished card. So I've created a quick spray background, a little bit of overstamping, the dies underneath, and then I've got that vellum panel with that beautiful die cut on the top. Now, I did do one earlier, and I've got some sentiments ready, but so I did exactly the same, but this is using the pinks, the beautiful pink sun spray. So I think I used Blush Dreams and Ice Sunshine, and I created my background, and I've used the Daisy die in the background, but instead of embossing on white, so you can see the contrast between the two, I stamped and I've embossed with the black, and then I can actually then put my sentiment on the top, or I could put another die cut flower over the top. So you can do exactly the same, and just by changing the colours you get a totally different look, if that makes sense. But you've still created something with a little bit of sprays. So that's what I wanted to do with those. So I'm going to put them to one side and let them dry. I'm going to say I will put photos up, but it won't happen probably until after the show. Sorry, Lynette, but I will get them done. So let's just put you to one side over there. Right. Okay, so now when I did the folded card, as you can see the background here, I did exactly the same with another piece here. And all I've done differently is, so where I had the open piece, I've just gone in with with the same stencil, I've just gone in with some of the enamels, as you can see over the top. But on this side here, I've just gone in with the enamels and just put the dots straight away in the flowers, because you don't actually have to do much more than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut them down to show you what I mean. I will make these up properly. So right, just put that away. So if I'm just going to grab the back of this one, for example. So now that could go flat onto a card blank. If I'm just going to grab a die cut that I've done, I can add one of the dies, just one of the dies on top. And this was my mop-up piece, cleaning my stencil, with a simple sentiment. And I've created a quick background just for cleaning my stencil with just a simple die. So your mop-ups can create just as stunning cards that way. So we've got that one, which I will make up another day. Let's put you there. And then we've got this one. So where do I want to chop that? Let's chop that there. And I'm going to chop this one down about here. So this one here was the opposite side, and I've got it going there, and I can then, just put a die, but now if I die cut that in black, it would have a totally different look with a sentiment across the top. And again, this was my other mop-up piece by just folding a piece of card in half, and I can create that. I would probably put a grey layer on the flower, you know, to do it those ways. Right, okay, let's put you to one side. But don't, you know, do use your mop-ups in that way. So where I've got this one, let's grab these. where I've got this one, all I would do is just where the centre in here is, I would choose one of the, so let's have a think. Let's use the cerise. So quickly, because you've got the fine nozzle on there, I can do the dots straight away. I won't do the stencil through because I want to use the stencil again in a minute, and that means I've got to go and clean it. So all I've done is from the mop up is just now take the cracked enamel. I want to use the enamels in a different way in a minute. And because we get so many different colours in the enamels, there we go. I'll carry on building that up. So that is all I did for that one there. And you've got a background straight away with either a simple sentiment or just with a die cut. And then just on this side, all I did was I just took the stencil again, took complementary colours. So I would go for, on this one, we've got the cerise, and I would probably go for seafoam again with the stencil just in places. And I've got that cracked look on the top because it's a beautiful semi-translucent. I can see the stenciling underneath, so it creates a really good mottled pattern. And that's what I would do on that side. So I've just, by cleaning my stencils, I created myself 2 new card fronts straight away. So right, let's put you down over here. And what I want to do is bring these back in because they've dried naturally. So these were the beautiful, I love these, aren't they great? The gritty pipes. So when I did these earlier, this one was when I sprayed it all directly, and we can see all the beautiful mica and the shine coming through. But this one was when I actually just took it on a sponge, and I've still got all that beautiful different colours of mica. I've still got the mottling. So if you don't like spraying in the traditional way, you can still get all the benefits of the pigment colour from the spray or the mica from the spray, but use your blending sponge and put it on that way. So, you know, you feel like you've got a little bit more control, but the look is identically the same. All right, this one's a little bit lighter, but I could carry on building up the colours, but I've not lost, I'm hoping I've not lost any of the shine or the built-in mica with either of them. So, right, we've got them going there. And now what I've done is I've die cut it a couple of times more, as you can see. And I'm just moving my steps out. I have to stand on steps to go to the camera. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a sort of shaped card with it all. So I've die cut it, and I haven't done the top of the die. If I get the die out, it'll probably be easier. And I couldn't make up my mind whether I wanted the smaller elements or not. So what I've done is I've turned it round, and I've die cut it so I don't have these portion here. So if I put it on the hair, I don't have the dangly parts down there, and I overhung it just a little bit at the top. And that was because I wanted to create a portion for my card blank. And then, I'm going to be honest, there was no precise science. It was what, you know, what I like the look of, if I'm being honest. So let's just go put that away before I lose it. So I've done that, and that gets now going to give me my card blank. And then I've gone and cut out different other elements. And I haven't chopped the bottom part here because I didn't know whether I really wanted to go along the bottom so it was flat, whether I wanted it to stand out. And it's going to be one of those things that will grow with me project-wise. So I'm just going to take out some of these bits. And I want to layer up. I find it, for me, personally, we're all different. I prefer to do the layer that I want on top to be coloured separately, so it dries separately, rather than put all the pieces together. I don't know, I suppose we're all different really at the end of the day. So pull those bits out. And this die is such a beautiful die. You can cut into it in so many different ways to create different backgrounds. So let's do that. And I want to layer up. You know, I'm not really worried if I keep some of the bits in. Let's take some out and keep some in. So this now is going to sit on the top like so. And I'll get that glued on. And then I've got one that I can actually then, this is the coloured one that I can sit on the top like that. So that's giving me the colour that I want to do. So if I glue them down, and I'll explain what I want to do with the other one. So let's just go. I'm going to put, I keep meaning to get some of those glues with the fine nozzles on, and then I get distracted when I go off shopping for other things, and before I know it, the thing that I went looking for, I don't actually end up buying. I did that with a glue gun. I wanted a new glue gun. I ended up buying random other bits and pieces and asked everybody for recommendations for glue guns, and then got distracted by other things that I saw and thought, oh, I like that, I like that, I like that. Right, okay. I'm just going to put this on the top. I'm just going to layer that up. I'm just going to stick these together, and then we're going to add all the other elements that I want to add on top. So we've got this bit there, and then we've got this one. It's going to go on the top. I told you that these glues are running out, and I'm determined to use them up. All right. I will stick down any bits that stand out in a moment with some scrap card, but we'll just layer these up at the moment. So I've got this one on the top, and that's going to go and sit there. I'll line that one up there. Okay, right, where's the lid? Just put the lid out of the way. So this now is going to be like the starting point for my card. I'm just going to push down these bits. So I've got now like the chipboard effect. If seeing the white edges bugs you, you could go around with an ink pad, and we could darken it. I'm going to try and not do that. Now, I'm not saying that once I've made everything, I don't go off and do it. But at the moment, I'm going to try and be good and not do that. Just want to quickly wipe my hands. Sarah Lou, people have said that before, that sometimes you end up having to make your glue thinner, and I can't be doing that. Pink frog ones, Joe. Oh, okay. No, people have said that before, that then you end up having to, you know, sorry, I'm just cleaning my glue off my hands. Water it down, and that defeats the object of me buying a really strong glue. In my head, anyhow. Right, what I want to do next is I want to take a piece of vellum, and that is going to go on the back here. And I just want to work out where the vellum is going to go. Now, whether I cut this down a little bit more, I don't know. So I'm just going to use my pokey tool as a rough guide to where to cut, because it will just leave a perfect mark. Now, you could do acetate if you didn't want to do vellum. I'm trying to go for a subtle look. She says, smiling. Okay, so I just want to put a little bit of vellum on here. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue, or you could use tape. I'm going to use glue. That's just my preferred. And I want the vellum to have a slight buckle effect to it. So I'm not going to stick it down everywhere. And then I can trim everything to the same size. Let's have a think. I want to put there. Let's done those there. Just put a bit there and there. Oh, okay, that's good, Joe. I'll go and have a nose. Right, so I've got the piece of vellum. That's going to sit there. And I'm just going to put it slightly up to the crease. And if I hold it down, if I hold the crease part down, it means my vellum or whatever layer you put on is not going to go and get impeded by that actual crease. So we'll just stick that like that. got embossing powder everywhere. So we've got that going. And now I've got a subtle look going behind. And as I said, what I will do is I will trim everything off at the same time. Now this piece here, what I wanted to do is I actually want to put it behind the layer we've got. So then it creates a shadow layer, but I'm going to turn it the opposite way round. So now it creates a shadow layer. It now makes this a lot firmer, but it looks like I've got even greater depth of all the different pipes. If you did it with acetate, you'd see them a little bit more, but I just thought it would be fun just to have that little nod, that little shadow going behind. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. Now I'm using a clear glue that is clear as it goes on, rather than a white glue, a white PVA. White PVA is dry clear, as we know. It's just in my head, I can then see where I'm going next with the project, if that makes sense. Right, okay. If I turn this over, I can then make sure. So I want to make the dies go the opposite way round. And I can then, I want to put that bit so it's lining up, because I think I'm going to trim down the bottom there. So that all lines up roughly in place. Now if you were, because I can see where I've done all my inking. If that bothers you, if you then got another piece of vellum, it would hide all of that on there, and it would then create another shadow. But as the vellum's lightweight, we're not making the front of the card too hard. So now I've got that effect going on. So let's just make the card blank up. Let's grab a piece of card. How you come up with a Sharon, I got to say, that's why I cut everything in white, because white helps me go to the next thing I want to do with the project. I know that sounds a stupid thing to say, but and then I can choose the colours I want. Sorry, I'm just grabbing there. So now when I create my card blank, I've got that. So the card will actually stand up like that way. I prefer gatefold. Obviously, I've got to trim all these down. But before I actually trim all of those down, I'm not going to do that until the glue is 100% set. Otherwise, things move and things tear. So we've got that going like that. And we're going to bring in. So now what I want to do is I just want to bring in a little bit of stamping in a little bit of a darker colour. And I'm going to go for, again, I don't know, am I going to go for the Bloom Baby Bloom? Yeah, I am. Because we've got these beautiful little vines on here. And I just want to add some of those in. And I'm going to grab some archivals. The only reason I'm using the stress would work on top, but because I've got so much glue, I just want to make sure the archival will go over the top. And I'm going to go with some different colours that I've got on here. And I just want to add just a little bit of detail in places on here using the stamps. So the stamps now are going to create the grungy a pretty grungy look on top of, does that make sense? A pretty grungy. On top of the different elements in different places. So we've got that one going there. And just build it up. So I'm just creating shadow by using the different stamps. Let's just go over the top there and use the ink up now in places. Okay. But when you look at the actual card or the background, you'll see that they're slightly floral rather than being dollops of anything, she says. Right, let's put you back. So I do love a storage tin. I do apologise. I don't apologise because I just buy them anyhow. Right, so my dog is desperate to come in and say hello, but I'm just banning him for the moment. Right, so we've got that there. So now all it's done is just added a little bit of the shadowing onto the pipes. Right, so let's grab a die. I want to grab, I'm not sure which one. Let's have a think. don't want to make any borders as yet, but then that would look quite cool. I'm going to go for Build Me Up Buttercup. And I've got card everywhere ready to go. Now I'm going to place this in the centre of the card. Let's grab a bit of tape because I want to use the negative as well. Right. And cut that up. And I want to pull out a piece of craft card. Thank you, Lynette. You know, I know you need to sort out some bits. Right, okay, so I want to keep this for a negative on something else. Let's put the tape down. And I've got that there, and I just now want to do it on a piece of craft as well. It says me now cutting a die from a colour, which is unheard of. Now I do shadow lines I would cut from colours. There we go. Add that through. Pretty gritty grungy. I like that. Okay, let's just put them here. I'm going to keep that because where I've got these different layers now, I want to create a card using these. So this now will create a little bit of a shadow. I will cut it down, and then if I grab, hold on, just to show you, it's not dry, but if I take a background, which is one of the backgrounds I did before, if I cut that down on a negative, I've got the colour coming through. So on this one, I could, where have I put the white one? Oh, it's underneath. So on this one here, I could have something different and put the white inside, or I could just use the white on the top and just have that going over the top with a sentiment. And you can use up, like I said, if don't get rid of backgrounds you don't like, because it creates a different sort of look altogether. Right, let's put you two to one side because I will use you. Okay, and what I want to do with this one is I just want to layer those two on the top. Actually, it looks quite cool where it's going inside each other. And I just want to have the flower, the die cut flower, just sitting on the top there. There we go. So the die cut flower is just going to sit on the top with a slight shadow behind it. Now, if you reversed it the other way, it would look totally different again. If you wanted a more grungy look, if I put the darker on the top and then the lighter, it has a totally different look again, but we're going to do it the other way around. So let's just get some glue. There we go. So I'm trying to go as quick as possible. I apologise. Right, I will get all these projects made up and I will share them in the group, but I'm going to be honest and say it won't happen until probably Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm taking all my project. I'm going then down to visit my dad in Brighton. I'm taking loads of photographing stuff with me because the light is so different down there compared to here, even on a bad day. Right, so I've just got that, and I just want to have the slight shadow underneath. Now, so this is now going to sit on the top there. Now, if that was still a bit too open for you, if you took the original bits that fell out, you could feed them back in if you wanted more of a whole flower looking, and colour them up in a different, in a different way. So these are like the waste pieces, and then that changes the look of your project again if we colour them up in a different way, but you've still got the shadow on the other area. So, so you can take the dies and use them in as many Thanks, Sasha. In as many different ways. So if I take these, for example, I'm going to take these elements out. And if I go for a total contrast colour, let's go for something like a picked raspberry. And I'm just going to go around the edge. And then we'll spritz it. Or you could spritz it. I'll do a few. And then we'll blend them. I don't want to blend them out. I just actually want to drag the pat across the top. And I'm not worried if they smudge, because that's just going to go a little bit more with the look. So, as you see, my goal this year was to embrace a little bit more white space. So that's what I'm trying to do, she says. Okay, so now if I stick the flower, I'm going to stick the flower down. So I've got the flower sitting there. And as I said, I will, once this has all gone off, I will trim all these off properly. I don't want to do it until they're 100% dry, each layer. Otherwise, you end up spoiling a project. So I'm going to be really good and actually do that. So let's just stick this bit here. I'm just going to put this on. And this is the Build Me Up Buttercup one. I just love the swirls instead of leaves. Each of the die sets have got something a little bit different. I mean, the Bluebell one, it was just stunning. Right, let's move you out of the way. So we've got that there. Let's give that a chance to dry just a little bit. I'll hold it down. So now if I took these parts in here and I started feeding them back in, you suddenly got a completely different look to the flower. Get a pokey tool. So I'm pushing that down because it's slightly receded because I've got two layers here. Okay. So we've now got a totally different look to the flower. Or you could take those parts out and you could leave them open. So you've got choices, you know, different ways that you didn't, you want to do it. So we could leave that bit in and you've got the little bit of subtle colour, or you could leave them out and have everything. So if I take them out, sometimes I will do this and I'll put both together. And then think, so, or you could leave it out, so you could just leave absolutely. I know I did, Louisa. When I got the name of the set, that's what I did. So you could actually just leave it open, so everything can be seen within each other. The other thing I could have done is actually cut the flower from another piece of vellum, and I could have put the vellum underneath, so you had another layer of translucent. And it's it's all building up. Now this is starting, the glue is starting to go off. I can feel it, and suddenly this has become nice and rigid, and when I cut it, it will actually then stand up. So so there are lots of different options along those lines. So I'm just going to put that there, and we're going to let it dry. And then what I would do is probably take the sentiment here, be like a wildflower, beautiful, fierce and free. And we've got some other elements that I would stamp, and you can add, and then it would just be a simple sentiment over the top, and keep it all about seeing all the different layers that you've created with the dies, as well as with a little bit of minimal stamping, if that makes sense. Thank you, Sasha. Oh, Sasha, they're beautiful when they came through. And they're just lovely. They're open shapes, but because they're open shapes, it allows you to take them wherever you want to take them, if that makes sense. So we've got that then going like that, and that's done. So, and I will keep these pieces here and decide what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to add them or not, because I could stamp the sentiment in pink, which would tie everything in. I could then, if I wanted to bring in a little bit more of the pink, I could bring in using the cracked enamel in places, and that would tie all the different colours in. So there's lots of different ways, you can do it. And then once this is all dry, I will, like I said, I will probably trim it about there on all of it. And then once I've done that, let's grab a piece of card. I would then just make my card blank at the back sit to match. So when the card is flat, you can see all the different layers of all the different pipe work, and the flower then looks totally different on a whiter background compared to the darker of my board. So that can, that can change the way something looks. So we'll put that to one side. Like I said, I want to let this go off properly because I don't want anything to buckle. Now up on here, we could easily add some of the stamping. So if I'm going to just use the black acetate. Never knock a black acetate on your card because it's a great way of seeing where else you could do. So where I've got the black acetate here, I could actually start building up some of the other elements of the flower. So I could go over the top here with some of the other elements of the stamped flowers and make everything work in. But it doesn't matter if the images don't come out perfectly because it's a slightly grungy look. So we'll just put you to one side to dry properly. And as I said, I will do all these proper, cut them all down. So let's just put you up there, okay, with my others. I hope that's all right. I have got one more project if you want to see it. If not, I will save it for another day. And so because I'm conscious that I have been waffling at you now for an hour and a half. So there's only so much time anyone can waffle. Let's move the glue, sorry. Right, okay. Is the other big flower, you mean this beautiful flower? Yeah, it is. Okay, right, let's go and get a piece of card. Right, where are we? Okay, so I'm going to get a piece of card, and what I want is, where is it? Oh, here we go. And let's have a think. What shall we use? Right, I have already did a background here that I wanted to use, and I want to build up a little bit more of the design on it. I'm going to stick to the same stencil. It saves me rummaging in a plastic bag, and I'm just going to put it on the top. But I'm going to use a little bit of Distress ink. So this one here, I use the Willow Green. I use the Eye Sunshine, and I'm really, really in love with the Latte. It's just like, oh, it's like, oh. I'm going to stick to Distress inks. Distress inks have a totally different sort of thing. The Distress inks act totally different to an oxide. An oxide adds more punch. So for me, if I'm playing with a project for the first time, I will probably default to my Distress inks. And that's just because because they're a bit more translucent, it just allows me that little bit of luxury that the colour's not going to, be too much in my head, as it were. So I'm just going to stick to the same sort of colours. And I'm just going to build up a bit of a background. Now, I make double. And like I said, I've done the strip. So this would technically be an A3 card cut into 2 or 3. And then that one side, I've got my card front. And then the other side, if I want to die cut into, I've got that portion for the die cutting. Teachers can waffle. Oh, I used to avoid assemblies, doing assemblies like the plague, Angela. Oh. Need to know more for the video. So I'm just going to now just add a tiny little bit of the Distress ink in the background. And this is going to be really subtle because I'm going to go for tone on tone again, and then we'll add in another colour on top. So it's really, I'll lift it up so you can see, it's really, really subtle in the background, but I've got a little bit more shape going on. This is, I know sometimes this is where your older ink pads, when you want to do blending like this, so you really want it tone on tone, are the better, because you won't get as much ink on the pad, so therefore you're going to get a little bit more of a subtler look, if that makes sense. So we're going to go and right, so let's put that there to one side. So now just by going tone on tone and using the distress, because the distress is semi-translucent as well, it just helps build up those layers, and it just ties in the colours that I quickly spritz the flowers from. Oh, I'm just reading some of the comments. Class assemblies I could do. Standing up there and waffling for the sake of waffling about something or other was just not me either. Class assemblies I was all for. So we've got that going on there. So I just want to grab, just to show you the difference in contrast, is I'm going to grab the same colour but in an oxide, just to show. So this is peel paint. Let me just in an oxide. So I did peel paint subtly in the background, and it really blends in. So now if you take it with an oxide, and I'm going to go over the top, the oxide is slightly stronger in colour because it's both a pigment and a dye, that it will then stand out. If I just do one area, you can see. So the oxide, because it's a pigment and a dye, stands out a little bit more than if you want something subtler to go into the background to mix with your project, than actually a distress. And that's the difference between the two. Depends on the look you want, whether you want it to stand out or you want it to blend in and be part of the background. And that's, to me, the difference between the two. I'm going to now just carry on with the oxide now I've started, just to go over. So, as I said, so for me, for new products, I will probably start off with a distress, because they are translucent and they will blend in to whatever background I'm making a little bit more, whereas the oxide are a little bit more shouty. Hello, I'm here, as you can see. Right, let's put you there and put you away. So suddenly you can see now more of the stenciling I've done with the oxide than you have with the distress. Right, okay, so now let's just build this up. So I've got that, my background there, and I want to grab some of the stamps now, and I want to build up a bit of a background with them. I'm going to go for, let me see, do you know, there's so many beautiful ones. I'm going to go for the, yeah, let's go for this one. I think I'm going to go for the Bloom Baby Bloom. All right, and this is a beautiful, like, open bouquet sort of stamp. And I'm going to keep the colours very, very similar. So I'm going to I will stick to an oxide now. So now I'm going to go, I'm just trying to see if I can find either frayed burlap or a pumice stone, because that will work in the background for what I want. There's frayed burlap. So here we go. So I'm just going to go, and the frayed burlap, because of the colour, has like a yellow tinge in it, which will bring out some of the yellow. And what I want to do is I just want to create a background here. And I'm just going to repeat it in different places with the same stamp, going off the edge. So I've got a really nice big background, but the floral images will stand out but also blend in the same way, if that makes sense. So if I'd used this, as I said before, in a distress, it would have probably receded in just that little bit more compared to using it in the oxide. So we've just got that there. Right. Actually, let's do that part there. I've got the whole of my border going. And one of the times I do actually clean my stamps will be when I use oxides. I don't know why, I just do. I'm just going to... Normally I would stamp this on a project, but for speed I'm just going to clean it. There we go. So let's put that back there. So that's now my quick background. So I've got two for two different projects. I'm going to make a 7x5, like I said, that's just my thing at the moment. So what I'm going to do is just cut this in half, and I've got two different ideas from the one background. So let's just put that there. We've got those two different backgrounds going on. I think I need to clean my chopper as well. So what I want to do for one of the backgrounds is I'm just going to build it up, and I'm going to use them as is with the different stamps, and I will carry on building. So we'll just put that to one side. This one I want to do something a little bit different. So if I'm just going to make a quick card blank again, and let's grab... There we go. We've got that there. And I'm just going to trim this down. I like to have, I mean, I could put this would fit over the front, and it sits perfectly over the front. I just like to trim mine down. Gives me a free matte and layer. Also, if your project then suddenly starts to go slightly darker and that wasn't the vibe you were looking for, I've got a light border then to change the look of it. I know putting things onto black makes things pop, and I will use black, but 9 times out of 10 I don't know why, I go for a lighter colour. But here we go. Right, so this is now going to sit on the top of that there, so we'll glue that down in place. We'll move this bit here, and that's just going to sit there in there. I'm just going to put that, just hold that down. And one of the benefits of wet glue, isn't it, or gel mediums and stuff, you just have that little bit of wiggle room. There we go. Right, so, and I want to bring in this beautiful daisy, and it's actually, I thought it went slightly with the stamps that we've used in the background like that, and I just want to build her up. This is going to bug me that the glue's just not there. Angela, I've never been making a big card person. I think it's because when I create backgrounds, if I don't like the look of a background, cutting it up and making a smaller project takes away from the fact if it's in my head I don't like it, if that makes sense. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let's put this on the back of my, gosh, back of my hand is going to be peeling away for the rest of the day. Oh. Okay, I've got a wet cloth beside me, and I want to build this up. Now, I've cut this 4 times, and I'm probably a bit excessive, but I have a reason for it, and I'll show you in a moment. So this one is just going to sit in the centre. Put a bit of the glue there. And I'm going to grab a second one. For this technique, you don't have to cut in cream. Like I said, I don't know why, but I always seem to cut my die cuts in white or cream. This is one that you could just get rid of all the die cuts, all the bits of random card that you've had floating around. So I'm layering this on top. So when we talk about like that chipboard element, all we're talking about is just layering more card on more card. So suddenly a 300 GSM card has now become 600 GSM because of the 2 layers on top, if that makes sense. Right, so we've got that going there. Just wipe my cloth off there. There we go. And I want to grab some of the enamels. So let's go for khaki, and I might add banana. I don't know yet. So we've got, and what I want to do is I'm going to fill these areas up. So with the cracked enamels, they have a semi-translucent look to them when they dry. Or they're semi-opaque, whichever way is easier to remember. And they create the most beautiful, beautiful, subtle crackle look. However thick you put them on will dictate how long it takes to dry. And what I want to do is, I just want to take, this is like a barbecue skewer, and I'm just going to build up my layers with the crack. I didn't want to go in too fully. I just wanted to build up my layers. And because I've got 2 layers of die cuts now, I can build up the enamels to however thick I wanted them to go. So what I could do is just do 1 layer quite thin, let it dry, and then go over the top with another layer. So let's just put a little bit more of the banana. In places. So when this dries, it will crack and it will show some of the background subtly through. There we go. And putting the 2 colours together, I'm just blending myself my own particular colour, because you don't have to use one colour. It's an acrylic based pigment, so it will blend beautifully. So if I bring that there, and we'll move it up. So if I lift it up a little bit, so now I could make it a lot smoother, but I want the detail. So as you can see, where I've got the 2 layers now, I can put the crackle on. And we can build it up on the top, and then it will crackle and it will show some of the background through. But I've now mixed 2 colours together to create my own bespoke colour. So now if I take the cerise, and I'm going to put a little bit more of the cerise because the flower is a bit more open. It makes a lovely noise, doesn't it? A little bit more there. And we're going to go for the dandelion. Oh, that is a really cute noise. Sorry. All right, I'm just going to put a little bit more of the cerise. You can use your enamels, you know, I'm putting them like dots like this. Use your enamels through your stencils as well. Just clean your stencils quickly. And I'm just going to use the cocktail stick. So what I want to do is I just want to put the colour going. And because these will take a while to dry, I'm just going to put the pink in the centre and move it around. I'm not worried about it's going onto the edges of my die cuts. You could use your pokey tool to do this, you know, a pair of tweezers. It totally depends. There we go. We've got that there. And it doesn't matter if you don't go right to the edge either. And then I'm just going to do the same with the banana up to the top, and then we'll mix the 2 together because I want the 2 to stand out, but I want the 2 to blend in places as well. We've got that going there. So you don't have to fill the whole space. It's up to you. It depends on the look you're trying to go for. And then what I want to do is I just want to now start bringing the two colours in with each other. I'll lift it up so you can see what I've done. So I'm just doing like a mottled veining sort of effect. And like I said, don't have to cover all of it. You can still have some of your background. If you want to cover all of it or just stick to one colour, just do one colour. But I mean, there's so many beautiful colours in the enamels, it seems wise. So I've got that there, and then I just want to do the centre. And I'm just going to stick to the dandelion, I think, for the centre. And using a stick to stir it round. I'm not worried about the bubbles, because actually the bubbles look really cool when it starts to crack, because it makes the cracks go in different directions. There we go. So let's just move these out of the way and clean that down. So when you can see, I'll lift it up so you can see. So all I've done is just moving the two together. I could pop all the bubbles if I wanted to, but when it cracks really beautifully. And obviously the thinner the layer, the quicker it's going to actually work. I haven't covered all of the bits. I've left bits showing there, so it'll look slightly different again. So where this petal has got more enamels in it and this has got less, you'll get different textural looks straight away. So now what I want to do to cover all of those up, now I would let this dry, so we'll risk it for a biscuit, as they say. God, look at the back of my hand where the glue is. It looks like those plasters they put on you at the hospital. You know, when they give you numbing cream. I am going to be picking this off forever. Right, so what I want to do is, so normally I would let this dry. So once this is dry, this is another die cut on the top. Now this could be a contrast. This is what I was saying. You could do these in all different colours if you wanted to use up scrap bits of card that you had. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold the die cut up. Sorry if I have to bring this towards me a little bit. And what will happen is I'm just going to put the die cut on top. And that will hide all where I have added all those enamels. So it doesn't matter then if I've gone over the edge of the previous die cuts. Let's move you a little bit. Move you in there. Oh look, can you see I've just jogged that enamel, but that's fine because I can always add a little bit more. So we've got that there. So now where you might have gone over on your die cut, you've got all those areas covered by a third one, but you've actually, I mean, I'll stick those down properly. You've got the dimension. I've just rushed the gluing, which I will do, but you've now got the dimension off the front of the card straight away. That one's going to bug me, so I'm just going to hold it. So you've got, like I said, so these will now, when these dry, like I said, I'll take photographs. These will be semi-translucent because that's what the enamels do. But I've then got that sort of textural, clean textural look to the actual flower sort of thing. So, right, okay, hold on. Right, I'm just cleaning off some of the glue. Now, so we've got that here. Now, depending on what look you sort of look. So suddenly I could add ribbons and I could add a ribbon bow to it. Don't forget your ribbons for another day. Spray them up to match your project. So where I'd used the willow green, I could have sprayed the willow green, you know, so you can actually mix your projects together. And all I would say for this one is I would just put a little sentiment on the bottom on it. So there we go. Let's clean that bit. I will take that bit off. You know, I would just add a tiny little sentiment on the bottom there. You could colour these in because these are oxide. You could drag the colour out. But you've created a quick background and made the die the nice... I know, Melanie, they look beautiful, the enamels. Okay, so you've got... So we'll let that dry. That won't take too long. And as I said, I will take photographs. But I wanted to do that in real time rather than... So we can actually see. But that's a great way... and because of the colours of your background, it's going to have an impact on the colours of the enamels you put through. Right, okay, she says. And then finally, we've just got this one here. And all I'm going to do for this one is I would just have, I won't do it all now. You can either add your just a single flower and putting it onto a card front with a simple sentiment, or you could cut this down, or we could, I'm not sure of how dry this ink is. Yeah, it's a bit too dry. Let's go grab a bit. So for this one, I would, instead of putting the die on it, you can then bring in the subtle colouring. So this time I'm using oxides rather than distresses. So now I could change the colours again. But we've got some bits there. And if you've got, what is nice to drop it into these, I put mine away, the sparkles that Pretty Gritty does, because they're coloured both sides, dropping them into your enamels as well creates a really cool dimension. Right, so I won't colour all of it, because I've just realised I've kept you guys for nearly 2 hours. Sorry about that, I didn't realise. So we can actually... So you can create quite a vintage look. And if you've got those beautiful vintage figures that Lynette brought you, they would look perfect on this sort of background. Okay, I'll just do a bit of it. So suddenly now, and I'll lift both up. I won't, and there's me saying I won't colour it all, and I'm sitting here now colouring it all. It's just because I can't leave some of it. It'll just bug me if I... But I'm going to have to in a bit. Right, let's just clean you. So now, then that changes it again, and I would trim this down, and that would then just be a simple sentiment that would go on the top. You could add your enamels in just to add a little bit of detail. I will trim this down, so if I could add, so if I want to bring in some of the pink, let's put a pink centre in. Let's clean my enamel thingy there. That would probably be a good idea. And then just adding this. Let's take that away. Where I've shaped this, I've got a bit of air. That's it. We go. So the same background, just by, so those are exactly the same backgrounds, but by colouring them in a different way, you can get two different looks from projects just by doing the same backgrounds, if that makes sense. Okay, so I will finish all of these off, and as I said, I will get photographs up of them, but it won't be till next week, I'm afraid. I've got other bits, unfortunately, I've got to do in between, but I will get them all sorted, and I will get them all done. And what I'll do is I'll download the live as well, and I can then split them up into different projects as well, so you can see which project you want to actually have a look at. But thank you ever so much to Lynette and Taylor for letting me come over and letting me have a play with all their different products. And as I said, these are all going to be on the Selly Telly Create and Craft on Friday. So let me just grab some of them back in again. So it's going to be the stamps, it's going to be the dies, so everything, and the stencils that I've used today. And I wanted to show, you know, so many different ideas that you can do with them, depending on what your colour palette is. So we've got those two there, where I've done those as a mop-up piece. They would then become cards. We've got then the two with the flowers. Let's move you out of the way. I'm going to keep you. So that was just doing a simple spray background, adding a vellum layer, and we've got two different looks, you know, to the same card. Let's put you up there. And then obviously we've got the pipes here, which obviously I will finish with a sentiment. I'm not sure, like I said, whether I'll put the pink bits in or not, or we'll leave it as is. And using it in a totally different way, and obviously trim. So it was just to show lots of different ideas with all the different projects. And then I've still got I've still got these two backgrounds, which I created earlier to use as well for other projects. So thank you ever so much for your time. Thank you to Lynette again and to Taylor. And look forward to seeing you all again soon. Sasha, I don't know is the answer to that. If that makes sense, I don't know. But take care, and I will see you all soon. If I get invited back to the page, I can then we'll see if they invite me back. But take care, have a great weekend. Thanks ever so much for your time. Bye.